The presence of poor people reveals your sin. It reveals your sin. Now, I need to be honest with you. I started to phrase this point. The presence of poor people reveals the greed in our society. And that's a true statement. But the problem is we will not internalize that, because when I say the greed in our society, everybody gives a cheap amen, because you amen somebody else's greed. And God says, no, I need you to see yourself as greed, holding on to the excess that you have when you could share it with somebody else. You see, Moses is aware of the seed of selfishness and coveting in our souls. And he recognizes that sin is not only prevalent in the world, but it's also present in the body of believers. See, we have seen a shift in our society. We have seen a shift from the war on poverty, which by any matrix and measurable was successful. And we shifted from a war on poverty to a war against the poor. We don't look now at the societal causes of poverty. We don't look at the generational issues of poverty. We blame the poor for being poor, even though they have been made and kept poor by sinners who have, instead of them giving to those and helping those who have not. Let me go where angels fear to tread. It's amazing to me how politicians can cry for a cut in entitlements, but those same politicians will support an increase in governmental spending in certain areas, knowing that when they cut an entitlement, you will cut resources to the poor. But when you increase spending in certain areas, you increase what goes into the pocket of the rich. We want a smaller government. And smaller government means we don't want to help any poor people. But smaller government doesn't mean we're going to cut capital expenditures. I mean, the whole highway system in the United States was built on government dollars. And there are people who got rich in the making of the steel and making of the concrete that didn't look like people of color. But they will not call that public assistance. They will just call that an opportunity. The question is, what will we do with those who do not have? We turn around and blame others for their gullibility, for their trust in people. We blame them because they let somebody else take advantage of them. When nobody ever wakes up in the morning and says, let me see who I can be a sucker for today. You see, the poor being with us is not a sign that we don't have enough resources. It's a sign of our own sinful humanity.